Hi there, my name is Mikael. Welcome to this mGear shifter data-centric rigging workshop. So what we're gonna see in this workshop? Okay, so we're gonna see mainly how to rig a biped. That's a very classical rigging workshop up to here. The model that we're gonna use is this one. It's a model by Jose Manuel Linares, a good friend and great modeler. You can check his website here. And we're gonna go and rig this model, make the facial rigging. That is something that has been required how to use mGear and shifter to make a facial rigging. We have great new tools on the latest version, so we're gonna use these tools and other techniques. We're gonna go over skinny workflow and tips. We're gonna also work on the corrective plane shapes of the model. We're gonna go and see how to layer rigs or stack rigs to make the facial rigging. We're gonna have some considerations about parallel and GPU override. So, you know, from Maya 2016, there is this parallel mode that changed the way that we need to evaluate our rigs and to think on the rigs. Before with DG evaluation was some tricks that we can do. And now with the parallel, these tricks doesn't work anymore, and we have to thought our rigs differently. So we're gonna try to profile our rig and see where we can optimize these things. We're gonna go and create and modify some shifter components. So mainly we're gonna go and do one simple component, probably a finger, and then we will modify some of them so we can know how to edit these components. We're gonna make the custom synoptic. It's a visual picker that it's included in mGear. And we're gonna talk about reusability and rigging standardization. But the main topic of this workshop is data-centric rigging. So what's this fancy name? What means data-centric rigging? Okay, I think the best way to explain that is to explain what means asset-centric rigging. And to do that, I'm just gonna open here my, okay, let me close this. And let's open one board here. Okay. So what is asset centric? Okay, let's say we have this fancy character here that we need to rig. Awesome character. And this is Mr. Asset. So Mr. Asset, it's a character that we're gonna rig. And what we do is normally we start doing some stuff on the model. So we open the model in Maya. Maya here. We open our character and let's represent like a cube, and we start adding stuff to this asset. And when we do all our steps like adding the joints, creating the controls, creating the skin deformation, creating all the deformation like plane shapes and so on, we save the character and say, okay, we have version 1 here. Okay, so now we continue probably maybe next day of work, or maybe because there is some changes on needed to apply. So we open this asset, we do some changes there, x6 changes, and we save to version 2 and so on. So this can be up to infinity. So that's the way that normally work on asset centric. So you open, do some modifications. Modifications can be obviously can be handmade, like point and click on Maya, or it can be scripts or running some tools. I don't care. It's like you open, changes, save, open, save, change. So, sorry, open, change, save. Yeah, that way. So this is asset centric, and I mean, it's a good system, and it's many. If you check many tutorials, it's like this. You keep adding stuff to your rig and changing. That's make a lot of sense. And in some situations, it's a really good workflow. Why not? But normally, when you go on production, when you start a show that has many characters, even if it's only one character, but normally when this technique or this workflow shines is when you have many characters or several characters that you need to rig. So data-centric. Okay, just let me type or write this data-centric. Yeah. So means that instead to work on the asset all the time and creating additions to this asset, we will get all the little parts that build the asset and extract it. So normally we will start like very similar to what it's the asset centric. So we load the model. Let's get the model here. We do some changes using the handmade approach or using tools or scripts. And then instead of save the asset itself, what we're gonna do is extract all this data in small pieces. And these pieces can be, for instance, for the skin clusters, can be the skin weights. So we have here skin weights, and we can have the plane shapes, and we can have x86 data. So that's it. You say, okay, wait a second, I'm just doing all this and extract it, and I have to rebuild again. Yeah, that's the idea. So we have on Shifter, we're gonna use what we call the custom steps. That it's something that it's mainly scripts that execute a very simple task. So each one of these scripts, import a model, apply the skin cluster, create some part of the rig, and so on. So the great thing about this is, okay, I have one model. What's the point? I mean, at the end, probably I get the same result. So why should I do this? Looks like much more work to do. Okay, yeah, maybe it looks like more work, but you see these little parts. When you think you need to do several characters, that they may share some parts, or they may share the same topology. So now you can use this procedural construction to build the rest of your rigs. That's probably like the point number one. Point number two, what happened if you go again to just your asset centric? What happened when you have hundreds of changes and you have 7, 8, 10, 20 characters, even more? How you can handle all these changes and track everything and keep your scenes clean? And imagine you working, normally it's recommendable to work in MyASCII files for the assets when you work in this way, because if it corrupts the Maya file itself, it's easier to recover if it's ASCII file. But here, everything, it keeps clean. So if you have a new retake from the, let me put it there. So you have a new retake from the animation director, for instance. I don't want the behavior of this arm. So maybe it's a custom step. Maybe it's just like the build of the rig itself. So to put this in perspective, we have pre-custom steps and post-custom steps. So this is when you execute the shifter build. So this is the way it executes. So you have like load my model, do this, prepare this scene, build a rig, that is the building that we have on Shifter, and then do other post custom steps. So basically you have a retake. So maybe the retake is just replace here some functions of the custom of the component, like the arm, or maybe it's adding a new post or pre custom step. Okay, so you have this, and if we do this, we change one, and maybe we're just one click ahead to update all the models. So we have a new version for these models with a new fancy arm. So that's the greatness of this workflow. It's that you can keep everything updated and you can keep everything clean. And once you start to have a lot of these custom steps and define your own way to do the rig, because this is not like a boilerplate thing, it's something that you can design for each show, for each project, for each studio. So you can keep updating this thing and everything is really clean. And because you have all the data extracted, you can reuse, you can make versionings, you can do maybe variants of your character. Sometimes this character have a different cloth, but it's the base. So you can have version A and version B of the character. So that's really great because you reuse part of this building to adjust these things. Also, you keep clean everything. That's a great point here. Because you build every time clean, you don't like are in danger to get some like unknown nodes or things like that, or corruption of the Maya files. So that's great. Ideally, you keep everything as abstract data as possible, and that's something I want to talk. Let me maybe go. Yeah, let's go this side. So this data, we will talk more extensively on the course, but the workshop. Sorry, but this data, it's it should be most abstract as possible, and we're gonna have scripts that can run and use in the different names. So we'll try to keep these scripts that works with all the characters. We don't relate on the strict names of the asset, and this is through standardization. So we need to standardize namings, and we need to standardize the way that we access to some parts. Then we will have what I call the data itself, that probably it's gonna be like JSON files, pickle files, things like that. That's something that it's serialized, and I think I'm misspelling this one. But it's very abstract. You probably can open this and read. It's like an array or information like this. And now for this workshop, I'm gonna use some assets, and I explain you why. So because you say, okay, wait a second, you're gonna use assets, so you're gonna use the asset-centric thing? Yes and no. Okay, so we're gonna use assets. For instance, store the guide. And this is something that in the near future is gonna be also serialized. It's just that I didn't make it yet on Shifter. Before on Gear for Softimage, you can serialize this to XML. Here on mGear will be to JSON, but it's halfway done. So probably, I don't know if before the end of the workshop will be ready, but it's gonna be for this year. So it's gonna be there. So this is one thing that we will store on the Maya file. So just put here Maya file. And the other thing, it's the geometry itself, we're gonna store as a Maya file. But this is more for, because it's easier for this workshop, but probably if you're in Studio, probably you want to use Alembic file, and probably you want to serialize your shaders and so on, but this is more like pipeline related stuff. So I'm not gonna go that direction. But yeah, you can do that. So these parts here ideally should not exist, ideally. But yeah, this is not the case, and it's easier for this workshop. So we're gonna have this asset part also. Yeah, I don't want to go too long on this. I think the idea is clear here, that you standardize, you extract all the data, and it's easier to update, it's easy to keep clean, it's easy to speed the process, because yeah, this is probably the latest thing. It's here, this first one, it's gonna take a little longer because we need to design everything. If we don't do boilerplate, if we don't take over and over the same result and repeat it, and these ones from here, it's gonna take way less time, like half or even less of the time of this one for the first time. But then when you have everything, it's even faster because you can keep updating, you can keep doing all the great improvements. So if I'm going back here to my presentation, okay, so don't buy the first rig. Sorry, here. Yeah. So don't buy the first rig version. That's the idea. You normally do that when you don't have options to change, or it's too costly to change this rig. So normally you're in half of the production, you've been rigging this character for several days, even weeks, and then you want a big change from your colleagues, your animation director, or the model needs to change topology or needs to change something, and it's a problem. It's a big problem. So fast iteration, easy to apply changes are the two main ideas that is behind this data-centric rigging workflow, and it's the most important thing that you will learn. So this is the main idea of this workshop. So which tools we're gonna need to do the workshop? Well, we need Maya, the latest version, of course, if it's possible. If not, any version of Maya will do. But yeah, you need to have mGear. That's kind of mandatory for this workshop. At this time, it's it's 2.4.2 now. So this slide, it's from yesterday, and I just did a little change, a little bug fix. And we will need shapes, the plugin for shapes that it's here. It's a great tool. I don't work without this one. And it also offers great options to export your blend shapes rig and reapply it. And also we will see some hacking, how to reuse this for several characters or if it's needed. The other tool that I use always is ngSkin Tools. You can access ngskintools.com, and well, this is braverabbit.com/shapes. I don't use the Maya skinning tool at all. I only open sometimes to unlock some of the deformers, some of the joints, but that's all. I don't use the Maya defaults. I think they are pretty, I will say, harsh to use. It's not coming from Softimage, it's another world. But anyway, these both of tools are available for students for free, so you can grab the educational version. And if you're gonna use it in production, please get the license. It's not free, but the price it's paid by himself in the first rig you use it. I mean, it's not really expensive, and it's totally worth each cent or penny you spend there. So what else you need? A text editor. We're gonna code some parts, so we need the text editor. I will use mainly Sublime Text 3 and Charcoal Editor inside Maya, but you can use whatever you want. So that's up to you. What we need to know before start this workshop? Okay, we need to be fluent with Maya. I'm not gonna go over details of Maya. I will expect you understand what I'm clicking or what I'm doing. I'm not. This is not a Maya class at all. Some previous experience with rigging and shifter, it's welcome, but it's not totally needed. But I will try to keep this as simple as, starting from the base as possible. But yeah, if you know some rigging before starting this workshop, it's much better. And basic knowledge of Python. Again, this is something that will be needed for some of the classes or some of the videos, but not for everything, and it depends what you need or what you want. It's not needed at all, but yeah, it's recommended to have it and to do it all the parts. One thing, it's I will try to explain this in a way that it's not like a boilerplated or anything. So I will try to explain the thoughts behind all of the decisions that I will do on this workshop. But of course, at the end, we need to take some decisions and go forward to one way to do the thing. So please don't take it as the only way to do it. It's just a decision we take to make the example of how this rigging data-centric workflow works, but it's something that you should understand, not just copy, because it's not the point of the course. So hopefully at the end of this workshop, you will know how to do your own recipes and your own decisions that better fits your studio or pipeline. So I don't want to extend anymore in this introduction. So let's start with the course. See you in the next video. Bye bye.